V'hinei b'ner hariy yesh bo gimel inyanim. Now in the candle there are three concepts. V'hem Hashem and upsila v'ha'or, and they are the oil and the wick and the light. The bichlal kulam hu inyan haner, that in general they compose the concept of the candle. V'hinei apsila hu hamidavar hanisraf. Now the wick is from something that gets burnt. V'im hiyos she'apsila hi midavar hanisraf. And even though the wick is from something that gets burnt, but the wick itself does not shine. That you have wicks that even push away the light. That even though they are something that they go up and get burnt in fire, but nonetheless will not receive light onto it. And there are those materials for wick that would only get burnt by the fire, that the light simply is placed onto it and it chars, or the light, if it catches, will only flicker on it. And there are those that just simply burn up. There are those that do burn properly, but it burns quickly, and that's not the concept of a shining a light at all. And in order that the wick should light properly, that it should shine, and that's through oil, and as is seen clearly with your senses, that when you dip the wick in oil, then it receives the light onto it. That is that it doesn't push away the flame completely. But it's possible that it could get completely burnt all at once. But that's also not the concept of fire. It's possible that it could just burn up, I guess, even with the oil. When you dip it in, and in order so that it should be a light that shines, that specifically when the wick and the oil are connected one with the other, that's through a vessel, the third concept. That the vessel unites the wick and the oil and shines the darkness. And so too you can understand with the candle of the soul, that also has these three ideas, shemen, upsila ve'or, of oil and a wick and a light. The hapsila hu hanefesh habahamis, that the wick is the animalistic soul, the kashem shebigashmi sini hapsila osim medavar shetival yosoref, that just like physically the wick is made from something that's usually burnt, that burns kamokin hu beruchni, so too it is spiritually. The animalistic soul is the wick, since there are emotional attributes in their essence, and the emotional attributes are in their nature, or the concept of arousal and burning. So that's emotions. But however, in this wick of the animalistic soul, there are a number of concepts, there are a number of ways. There are some whose animalistic soul, aside from the fact that it does not receive the light, but it even pushes away the light, that he pushes away the light. There's animalistic tendencies that might not receive the light, but even push it away. Like we see clearly, that even though they pray every day 3 times a day, and guard the mitzvahs in the normal way, but it's still in a way of people simply having learnt the habit of mitzvos, and do not receive the light of Torah. That to set the times of Torah, they don't want to do that. And even to listen to the classes that are given in public, they don't want to do that. That is, that the light of Torah is not grasped by them. That they push away the light and don't desire it. So that in this aspect, they're like empty and hurried people and lowly, truly. That this is similar to the wick that pushes away the light. And this is from the coldness of the world, the Kaltkeit von Welt. And the decision of bad, or the bad decision, that they decide within themselves that this doesn't have to do with them. And there are those that in their nature they love Torah, but not in this that they themselves should learn, but they try hard that others should study. And this effort takes a number of forms. Places his heart and mind in this. But to learn himself, he doesn't desire. And only from time to time does he point his ear towards listening to these classes. And this is compared to the wick that gets charred by the fire. That at any rate, at least it's not pushing away the light. It just simply burns up quickly. And even though it doesn't shine, but doesn't push away the light completely, at least. And there are those that in known times they get aroused with a good arousal, and they get into it like at times of divine, a propitious time of divine desire, like on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, or the revelation of the times of joy, then they're in a good arousal, but it's only for an hour, it's only for a time. And then it goes away and passes, and it's as if it wasn't there. That's the likeness of the wick. That it gets burnt all at once. That this is not the concept of light at all. That the intention with light is that it should shine the darkness. And that's specifically when the wick unites with the oil, that's specifically through the vessel. And that so too it is with the candle of the soul, that when the wick unites with the oil, the shemen him maisim tovim, that the oil is good deeds. That is the action of the mitzvos. That it says on the verse that you should not be lacking oil on your head, that refers to good deeds, and that's specifically through the vessel that you have the oil that isn't lacking upon the head. The oil doesn't get just burnt up quickly. How does it stay there? That's through a vessel, and that's the set times of Torah. So the oil itself is the mitzvos, and the kli that it should stay there to shine the darkness is the set times for study of Torah. With a knowledge of the laws, and an awakening of fear of heaven. that this unites the oil and the wick. That's when it's a light that shines. And that's what it means, that the candle of Hashem is the soul of man. That it's called a candle that shines the darkness of the world. And just like physically, the candle includes the oil and the wick and the light. That in general they come through the vessel that unites the oil and the wick. That's when it's a light that shines the place of darkness. So too it is with the candle of Havaya, that the main thing is the vessel, that is the set times for Torah study. That's when the oil and the wick unite and shine the darkness of the world. That's what's written, that Havaya, your Elokah, is a burning fire. That the fire of the divine soul is a burning, is a fire that eats. The Be'esh said the Nefesh Elokis, that with this fire of the divine soul, that's awakened with a will and a desire for the divine. This also burns up the strange fire of the animalistic soul as well. That is, like we said, that the wick burns inappropriately on its own. That is when the divine soul does its service, and it's in clothing of the body and in the animal soul, to know and contemplate the divine, that this contemplation is the contemplation is felt in the intellect of the natural intellect of the animalistic soul. And even though the divine soul and the animalistic soul are very far from each other, and they're opposite from each other, and they're called man and animal. That the greatness of man over animal is with knowledge that the man has over animal. The Adam yesh lodas, that man has knowledge, behema ein lodas, and the behema, the animal, doesn't have this knowledge, this recognition, cognizance that man does. V'zeh behema ein lodas. And this, that the animal does not have this knowledge, doesn't mean it doesn't have any knowledge or recognition at all. But rather that the knowledge that it gains is an acquired knowledge through eating and drinking and the like. And so too the animalistic soul in man, that its whole will and desire is to be drawn downward, to stick to and to tie itself to physical and coarse things. That's what it recognizes, with all kinds of physical desires, just like the spirit in an animal truly. And just like in an animal, its whole concept is to eat and drink, and the other needs of the body. So too there are these kinds of people, that go in the freedom of their heart. That is to say, that their heart is in charge of them. And their whole concept is to eat and drink and so forth, That all of this is because their nefesh habahamis is ruling over them. May the merciful one have mercy on them, just save them. That also the intellect in this natural soul, its whole concept is to understand physical concepts in pleasures and desires of the world, like the clever animals. Their wisdom is only in about physical things, coarse things, how to get some food and the like. So too it is the intellect of the animalistic soul, of the natural soul, is only to understand well physical ideas, that is, ideas that are connected to the natural emotions. So too and even as well in intellect and wisdom, that even the certain types of wisdom that are above emotions, like in studies, secular studies, like the natural sciences, and how to be a doctor, astronomy and the like. So the intellect of the thing is in the physical of the matter, and in the nature that was set into the creations after they're created. That is to say, that which comes from the divine strength, from the divine ability, into the physical and existence specifically. And the understanding and the grasping of creation of something of something from nothing, how the non-understandable divine creates the existence, is very, very small amount. That the natural soul understands this. And even when it does think about this kind of thing, it's very coarsened and physicalized in the way it understands it. And like the sages, like the wise people of the nations of the world, the Hagam Shmis asking Baskalos, that even if they're involved in intellectual pursuits, it's in the ultimate level of physical understanding. And how much more so in ideas within the divine itself, not just within the creation of the physical, but within ideas of the divine, that are above creation, that they don't think about or grasp at all. But man does have knowledge. So that's like the animalistic soul. But when we're talking about Adam, they do have knowledge, meaning they are able to have an understanding of the divine. So explain that in a candle you have three concepts: the oil, the wick, and the light. And with the wick you have a number of concepts. Or the first is that it pushes away light. And the second is that it burns quickly. And the wick is the animalistic soul, and the oil are good deeds. And the vessel are set times for Torah study, and that unites the oil of the good deeds and the wick of the animalistic soul. And now Hashem is a fire that eats. That the fire of the divine soul burns up the fire of the animalistic soul. And man, The divine soul has knowledge, and the animalistic soul does not have knowledge of the divine. Rather, it has more external knowledge of the physical.